Welcome to the Emerging Screenwriters Interview Series. I am Shayna Weber, and today we are here with
Lisa Garvey.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Shayna?
Good.
Thank you for doing this.
Yes, thank you for being here. We're going to start off with a couple icebreaker questions.
All right.
What are you watching now, or what are your favorite all-time movies or shows?
Oh, gosh. What am I not watching is really the question. I don't know if I can pick favorites because when they come out, they're all so lovely and wonderful and, just pull you in. I was definitely a Stranger Things watcher. The Sandman, The Bear, which was really fun. Lupin, which I'm excited is a new season coming back. And just a couple days ago, I finished the Sidney Poitier documentary.
Wow.
Which was really good.
Yeah. You're speaking my language. I'm like a Sandman,
Bear. Yeah.
All of
Severance
everything that you said.
is another one.
Everything that you said, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, they go on and on, so.
I know. You're like, well,
yep.
this and this and this, and I feel like I watch TV 24/7.
I
Great.
do, yes, exactly.
Well, it's your job. And then who in the industry do you look up to, either creatively or as a writer or, as an actor who...
Sure. Neil Gaiman, because of his ability to cross over the way he has, which is wonderful for him. I think David Lynch, you can't match that. Wes Anderson, probably, for his uniqueness and style of voice and style. And I think Diablo Cody for, how she broke in with the uniqueness of her voice.
True.
And I also think Brian Fuller has a really cool style. So I guess I can cut it off there. Okay. that could also
kind of get your vibe.
Yeah.
I think we got. Okay, so let's start at the beginning for you. When did you first get the bug for writing or feel like this was what you wanted to do, or creatively did you start somewhere else?
I knew what I didn't want to do, and writing was not on that list. So,
Perfect.
And then I went to grad school and studied film, and that's really where I found writing. But I had, in undergrad, studied art, so it felt like a natural segue in a way. But I grew up not realizing, not so many media choices and not knowing that writing was something that you could really do. So I don't know, I would say like when I was very young, I was hypnotized by Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Like just seeing him up on the screen talking to you was like, so like, who is this man?
Right.
And the Carol Burnett Show. And then I think when I got older, it was Moonlighting had a big influence on me. So I don't know if there was a certain moment. It's just sort of
like always
evolved. Yeah.
Okay, so you went to college. What did you do after college? How did you get to LA?
Well, grad school is what got me to LA. And I wanted to be a feature writer when I got out. This was a very long time ago, and TV was still like the black sheep or the redheaded stepchild of the industry, and I didn't really know that much about how it worked. And so I had the fortune of being able to work in the industry, and I worked in production and development for a very long time and also very long hours. And then eventually and inevitably, I was turning 40. And I realized if I didn't make time for writing, it was never going to happen.
I feel you on that.
Yeah.
That's kind of like exactly where I was like, why am I doing production when I should be doing this? But what about working in production and development? Do you think that was a good thing or a positive in terms of where you are now?
Well, it gave me a lot of background, and it gave me a lot of insight about how the industry works. I was an assistant, so you're on the phone calls, you're listening to everything, and that was a huge learning experience. And I think now, if, I were to get staffed, I have this production background that maybe a lot of people don't necessarily have. So to that end, I think... I was also in the directing program. I wasn't in the writing program. And I realized halfway through I should be in the writing program, but at that point I wasn't going to switch, and I decided being well-rounded is probably better because we were doing everything, sound, editing, working on each other's shoots, and it felt like coming out, it would give me like more options to sustain myself, which if there was a livable wage, maybe that would have been possible, but that's another conversation.
Right. So you hit around 40 and you made the shift to full-time writing. How has that been so far?
Wonderful. For me, I think anybody who's working and trying to do something creative, time is always the thing that you feel like you're fighting against. And to suddenly have all this time, it took me a really long time to sort of relax and realize that time, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't going to go away like that, you know, I could, so once I had calmed down, it's been really wonderful. I mean, it's what I want to do. So, and I have the fortune and privilege of being able to have stopped and, you know, been able to do that. But it took getting older. I mean, it took, you know, like making more money to be able to stop, you know, like, so that was the path.
Yeah. What are you writing now? Where do you feel like you are in your writing career now?
Well, probably right where I should be, but not as far as I thought or would like.
Honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is the truth, right? Like, we're never where we really want to be, but I can't complain either, because you see your own progress, and, you know, that's got to take your personal victories where you can. I'm writing a feature and a pilot and a book, and trying to just juggle, you know, the ever-changing landscape of the industry.
How do you do that?
Well, when I kind of switched to writing fiction, which was branching out for me. So I think writing in different mediums is definitely something that, you know, keeps you sort of honing your skills, but from a different perspective.
So you're writing novels?
Yeah, yeah. I've written 2.5. I say a half because one's a novella. But they're sitting there waiting for me to edit. I think when COVID happened and the publishing industry sort of went, you know, well, every industry went kind of sideways, I decided I was struggling with one of them, like, truth be told. And so I finally was like, I just need to put this in a drawer for a little bit and take a break. And so I kind of went back to the features and the TV, and I was just like, I want those samples in my drawer that I don't have to worry about, you know, where I really like, I feel good about them. I'm not going to keep, you know,
tinkering with them.
Thank you. That's the word. And so I focused on kind of getting those, and then I'm going to go back to the book. It's been good because that mental break, you keep kind of writing in your mind, and so I kind of, now I'm like, okay, I see where I've gone astray.
Okay, you're like,
hopefully correct the ship.
I think it's really interesting in the space that the industry is right now, where, you know, a lot of TV and film are based on IP.
Yeah.
So were you like thinking about reverse engineering in a way, or was that something where you weren't thinking in those terms, but you were just wanted to write something in a different form?
There was a little hope of that. I mean, that was definitely like a consideration.
Sure.
I don't think that it would have stopped me from trying to do something different, but at the same time, I know people say that even now in jest. And this for me was, somebody said it to me many years ago at this point now. They were like, you know, write your own IP. And I'm like, where to start? Like, I've never written a fiction before. I didn't go to school for that. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So that in itself is sort of like that double-edged sword advice, because you're really starting from scratch again, and it's like, okay, now.
Well, people already think it's easy to write a screenplay, and it's not to do it correctly.
Yeah.
So the same thing for a novel. So just go write the novel.
I know, right?
You're like, okay,
it's not, so here it is, like, I don't know, 7 years later, you know, and I'm still sort of on that course of, you know, but I enjoy it. Like, I do find it's more freeing. You know, there's a lot of wonderful things about writing a book compared to screenwriting and vice versa. So I don't know. Yeah, but that was advice that was given to me, is go write your own, you know, material, and probably, I don't want to say easy because nothing's easy, but that's something that you can have produced that has your name on it, that doesn't involve millions of dollars to get made.
Yeah.
So it was a way to get a credit.
How would you describe your voice as a writer when, you know, it's a lot of talk now about voice. And I know in your bio you start right off with talking about what you write. So how would you describe your voice?
Well, I write speculative fiction with a weird literary bent and genre bending features in TV. That's sort of like in a nutshell.
Okay.
Using the fewest words possible.
And what kind of characters are you drawn to
Oh gosh, the outsiders. I mean, I write about outsiders who are trying to find their place in the world. It usually involves them going down an absurd rabbit hole, which is how I felt as a kid because my family moved a lot.
Interesting. How many places did you live? Did you live like internationally or in the
No,
United States?
not that exciting. I mean, I wish. Maybe I'd have a story to tell then. Yeah, no, really boring places. I mean, no offense to anybody who's from these places. But I lived in the Midwest, so Michigan and Nebraska and Missouri and Indiana. And then we moved west to Idaho and then Washington State. And now, I mean, I've been in California longer than I was ever anywhere.
Wow.
And it was like an average of every 3 years. So as a kid, that's like a lot. Like I think the longest place we were at was for 5 years. And at that point, you know, we were moving, I think, from junior high to high school. And 2 weeks before I was supposed to start with the friends now that I'd had for the longest I've ever had them.
Right.
2 weeks before school started, we moved. I had to start all over again. It was devastating.
Wow.
Yes, that is my internal wound.
There it is, right there. Wow. I can't even imagine that because I grew up in the same town like my entire life. And even though just changed schools, you know, for like grade school, junior high, high school, it was still, I was very comfortable there.
Yeah. Well, and we kept moving to places where that was the case. So everybody knew, everybody was so established and had grown up together. And it was really hard to break in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, now that you're a writer, what great material, you know, to use for those feelings.
Yeah, the pain.
Yeah, yeah. Which is
suffering of being an adolescent.
So yay!
Right?
So we're gonna spin that.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about your goals for, let's go like immediately right now. What are you aiming for? Where do you see yourself in a year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I guess in a year, the hope is to have a manager or a book agent, or both. And then in 5 years, I would love to have a book published and the promise of the second, either a date or something. And I think either to be staffed or produced, you know?
Okay.
I don't know if any of this is, you know, attainable, but it's nice to have goals. It's nice to have goals.
You got to put a goal out there. So... Are you it feels like you are, you know, like you're focused currently on writing books, but you're sort of like spider webbing out or whatever. What am I doing? This out in different areas just to see kind of like what could stick. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, actually, the ISA helped me greatly in getting my first writing credit on IMDb. And that was writing for a live action virtual reality theater production, which I would never have in a million years, you know, and was a wonderful experience. And that actually, that production went on to win at the Venice International Film Festival and South by Southwest. And it was amazing. So it was another sort of writing thing that I wouldn't have, you know, anticipated falling in my lap. And that was all because of the ISA.
So was that a writing gig?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, since it's live, you know, sure, there's the ad-libbing by the act, but you still had to have a structure and a, you know, sort of goal and a story. And because it is virtual reality, there was a gaming aspect involved. So, you know, certain things had to be scripted, you know, just for that finding the clue and then finding the next clue and that, you know, so there was a logic to it.
That's awesome.
But it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I love those writing gig success stories. It makes me happy. How did you then, was it from that you got on the development slate, or how did you get on the development slate?
No, the development slate was from, I believe my introduction was 2015. I had a pilot that won the grand prize to have a table read at Sundance. So, yeah. So, I mean, I'm just grateful that you guys are still talking to me. And it's things like this, you know, that continued support, like the longevity of the support. I mean, as a writer, that means everything, because it's like, what's that phrase about you need a community to raise the...
It takes a village.
It takes a village. It takes a village. Yes, it takes a village for a writer to, you know, kind of have that kind of support that gets them to the next place.
Right. So. Well, I mean, I hear your name all the time, so...
Aw, well,
you're still much loved inside that environment. So, can you, since we're on the subject of ISA, besides what you just said, is there anything else that you wish they could help you with more, or that you are looking for more support with?
Well, really, that's in my lap right now because I have new material, so I would want to send it and we could talk about stuff like that. Because I think for me, bouncing between the books and the screenwriting, like I've sort of, been like, yeah, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. Like I've been holding myself back in a way.
Yeah.
And it's one of my goals is to stop doing that. So I think that I would like to open up conversation again about what I have, but yeah.
Noted.
A little plug for my future.
That is one of the great things about being on the development slate.
Yes.
Is that you are able to send in your material when you're ready.
Exactly.
For feedback and support in that way,
Absolutely. And that's the longevity. I mean, that's the thing. Like I don't know, maybe some people are faster writers than I am, but I take a long time to develop. Like it just takes a long time. And so I'm I don't know. That's something else that I am like, okay, is this my process or is this something that I can accelerate?
Sure. I know sometimes you have to like rework the muscle that you're comfortable with. And I'm writing something now where we have a very small window to write it. And it's all of a sudden like, okay, we can't take our time. We just have to outline. And we're not really used to doing that.
Yeah,
so but it's been great. Actually, so it's kind of like, okay, maybe we can combine the two moving forward.
Well, that luxury
being a little faster,
having the time to really think about, your choices and stuff versus not having a lot of time, but also how that inspires and forces you to make choices that, and work through it.
Yeah.
Both are good. You know, they both serve their purpose.
What would you share as something that you've learned along the way or something that you did that you would do differently?
Right. Well, I don't know. I guess advice kind of comes and goes. I mean, it's like your favorite book. If you have a book that you return to and it like says different things to you at different times, I kind of feel like that about advice. So it's sort of like just stay curious. You're never done learning.
Yeah.
So
that's good. We're going to go to fun questions at the end.
Okay.
What's your favorite word?
Oh, well, if this were inside the actor's studio,
that's my inspiration.
I would say it rhymes with duck. But that's
my favorite word.
See, I think it's a lot of people's favorite word. I think we should have a club.
Totally.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's like picking your favorite movie. How do you pick your favorite word? Maybe befuddled or calliope. Those are kind of fun to say.
Those are fun words. And then what's your pet peeve? Grammar, spelling.
My own mistakes are my pet peeve.
There's the biggest one. When you just send it off and then you look at the first page and you're like, what?
Always. Inevitable. Yeah.
Inevitable.
The worst. Yeah.
And then if you had, I'm changing this up. If you had one wish and you couldn't wish for any more wishes, what would it be?
I would definitely 100% wish to be able to consume calories without having to worry about the effect. And then after that, I'd really have to think about the other two because those would require more thought. But off the top of my head, that would be something that I would definitely enjoy.
That's amazing. That's my favorite one. So
good.
Don't go for world peace. No. Go for, come on. Empty calories.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Well, I still have the other two, right?
Sure. Yes. I just had
to make an impact on the world. I would still have the other two.
Right. To be fair. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.